Testing. Uh-oh. I don't seem to have game audio coming through. Actually, I don't seem to have the game coming through at all. And I think I know why that is. That was because I didn't have it plugged in. Rookie mistakes, rookie mistakes. Good morning, everybody. Coffee hasn't, quite kicked in yet, hence the slow discovery as to why my stuff wasn't working. And I woke up this morning and I really felt like streaming something. I almost got back into some Genshin Impact, but I really wanted to get the roller coaster stuff done here in Legos. So here we all are. Alright guys, I'll give it another minute or two here. And we will get this party started. So I'm going to be dipping off to the side here from time to time to eat. Speaking of just waking up, I have not eaten. And happy day after Thanksgiving, by the way. Hope everybody had nice full bellies yesterday. I know I did. There was a lot of pie. There was a lot of pie. And the pie continues, hence my last minute breakfast this morning. So yes, I'm actually eating pumpkin pie for breakfast. But I read the can, and pumpkin is actually chock full of vitamins, fiber. I was like, huh. I don't know if that cancels out the cup and a half of sugar I'm eating, but at least I'm getting some vitamins and fiber with it. Alright. And just to not, compound the problem, I skipped putting any kind of creamer or sugar in my coffee this morning. Whew. There's a little extra wake-up juice there when it's not flavored. Alright guys, so I actually did not design this courtyard or anything. This is my son. He's quite the builder. He just likes to, get something in his mind's eye and he makes it so. So yeah, him and I had a lot of fun building the world up here. And actually, while I'm giving this a minute or two, probably about 2 minutes now, I want to run back and get my vehicle, because we're going to be doing the monorail, or not the monorail, but the carriage building today. And normally I build these just, I have them memorized, but it's been a hot minute now since I've actually constructed one. So I'm probably going to have to use this one for reference. And I probably want to build this somewhere I already have a support structure built. So I might actually be grounding this track again right about here. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that nitnoid stuff now before I really get into the carriage building. I always like to have more than one support. It makes me very nervous when there's only one, because I tend to forget that fact, and I'll go out and pickaxe something, and then, like, the whole world is clapping. Like, oh no. Yeah, my life. Alright guys, I do not have... Actually, yeah, we're straight. Okay, and we want a little bit of straight track for this, so it really doesn't matter too much where you decide to build your carriage, but I wouldn't recommend doing it way up here in the sky like this. Things go wrong, things break, you fall off, I fall off. So actually, you know, rethinking this, I'm going to head back to main base and I'm going to build this there. You know, another thing about this monorail is just a lot of freaking fun to drive. Sometimes my son and I would just log in and one of us would just jump on the thing and go for a spin. So, you know, imagine, you know, you can kind of twist and turn the track, you know, up, down, left, right, whatever. You can actually have it wind through some pretty cool terrain. I've actually weaved it through some of the, you know, the rock spires in the desert biome. It's a lot of fun to kind of, you know, drive through that. And I'm working on a... I don't know if I should talk about that yet. But yeah. No, there's more to it. So the first 3 videos are going to be the track building, which we've already done. The carriage building, which we're about to do today. And I might even get a second stream in today where we get some station building going, because the stations are big, guys. Like, there's a lot to the stations. So, after that, there will be another video coming, or a stream. And I've never actually successfully built one of these before, but I have built mechanisms that I need to make it work. So it's going to be a big stream. That's going to be... You're going to watch what I go through in the R&D phase of a build. So anyway, let's see here. Getting back to this build. And again, I'm not really getting into the construction aspect. Actually, yeah, I probably should now, because you guys need to see how I set up the build site for the thing. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try to remember how I did this now. And I'll get my picture off the screen. Actually, I'll do that now, so I can actually, you know... Yeah, just get it started. So with that, we'll see you guys later. Alright, let's get into this. So guys, in order to get the carriage built, we don't want to be, you know, super high off the ground. You want to be relatively close to resources. This is my main base. This is where my stores are. So for me, this is where I will be building. And again, I like to stick with these shack builds just because they're super cheap. And we're going to want a little bit of clearance here. We're going to be out here a little ways building. You're going to want some good straight track for this. Some good level straight track. So this is a real good spot for me. Whoop. Missed a build there. Almost fell right off. Almost took a long walk off a short pier. Okay, so I'm actually going to build. And sometimes, you know, before I have stations and all that built, I'll just have the beams, excuse me, for the, you know, holding up the track. So I just build right off of those for my carriage. So normally I do that before I even do a station. And I can't seem to remember how to build. Stand by while I get right. Okay, so that goes off to the outer side, and it doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't have to be super precise. Just give yourself some wiggle room here. This piece is going to be about centerpiece for the carriage build. See, I'm going to go all the way out one peg back in. And then I don't know if these are free builds, guys, so you know, if you don't have these, just use wall pieces, but they're the same height, so I'll demonstrate that here for you. So just in case these are not free builds and you don't have them, because I don't know anymore, I will show you the wall piece I usually like to use for this type of deal. And I usually like to use stone. So yeah, I would just place 2 of these, you know, in lieu of that one. And as you can see, they're exactly the same height there, so it all works out. So yeah, I just kind of butt them right up to each other. Like so, and then you get your 4x4. I gotta go break that. Dude, my pickaxe is almost broke. Really. Okay, so we're gonna go down just 1. This isn't a super tall coaster, so we're actually gonna have to drop it quite a bit, and that's okay. Now, if I remember right, give me a second, folks. I gotta ponder this one for just a second. So let's see here. If I go, okay, I dropped that support beam wrong. It's only supposed to be 1 peg the other way. That's what looks off. And that actually matters for this, unfortunately, so I need to fix that. But I'm going to take a moment, stuff my face, drink some coffee. And speaking of coffee, this is not my first cup, so there might be some angry coffee needing out here momentarily. All right, let's do this thing. Yeah, so I guess just to speed the video up, I will put the quicker build down. So now go all the way out and then in 3. 1, 2, 3. This way there's only 1 peg sticking out the back end like that other one. Perfect. Okay, and from here I'm actually going to place another one of those. I'm going to snap that right underneath. I'm going to head back over to this piece and we're going to come right out from that snap point. Pow. Okay, go ahead and get rid of this. That was just like a break stuff. And then you can actually put 2 more. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go wood builds on these just so you guys can kind of see it's a breakaway. My life. Wish we had like go-go gadget arm or something in this game sometimes. Alright, so anyway, yeah, anything that, you know, I'm just using like as a wood jack, something that's temporary that I'm going to bust away, I always like to discolor that just so I'm not confusing myself as to what is supposed to be there and what isn't. So that's the main reason for this, is just to help me kind of keep straight what's going on. So anyway, we've got that. Now that should be perfectly centered with the track above it. And of course, you know, you can eyeball that. I'm going to actually build some scaffolding here. The one thing about survival that makes this tough, and I understand now why people complained about, you know, my sandbox videos. I get it, you know, it is tougher to build in survival. I have to do all this, you know, workaround stuff to get my body where I need it, to get my view where I need it. So I get it, guys. Apologies, you know, I'm new to the whole YouTube and Lego Fortnite thing. I'm getting there. I'm learning. Something else I think. hasn't been helpful in my videos is I thought people just wanted to see fun videos, you know, listen to some music, see something cool, whatever. So I just tried to make them fun, you know. I didn't think about the tutorial side of the deal. So now that I'm kind of more aware of that, I'm going to get into this and keep the tutorial side of things more in the forefront when I do Lego videos moving forward. Alright guys, so again, just kind of building some scaffolding here. Bump back over to my faves, and make sure nothing is going to fuse. I like to leave at least 2 pegs, just to make sure the game doesn't accidentally consider something fused. So that's actually cutting it pretty freaking close there. But yeah, fusing builds, that can be a big freaking problem. My monorail system and the supports are completely independent of any station, so I'm going to show you guys all that. So the tire assembly and the railing is not attached to this structure or any structure in any way, shape, or form. Reason being, guys, is the game gets real glitchy. Uh-oh, is that my jukebox playing? Man, I hope that doesn't break my freaking video. NPCs keep turning that on. Alright. And I just pissed off a chicken. Sorry guys, but when you abuse the music, you know, we have to take it away. Alright, getting back to visually making sure this is lined up, and I already know it is, because, you know, I've counted these pegs a gazillion times, but just in case you think it's off a little, you can kind of get up here and eyeball it. Look down one side, they line up. Look down the other side, they line up. Alright, so from here, right to foundations. And I like to place 3 of these. The reason is, I've tried shorter, I've tried longer. 3 seem to be a good sweet spot for just longevity of the vehicle. Like, updates didn't seem to bother that one so much. My longer or shorter ones, you know, they seem to have more problems. So 3 just seems like the right size. Okay, now these don't always place properly. I don't know why, but sometimes the foundation pieces don't line up just right. Or whatever these are called, dynamics. So I like to get down here and actually make sure they visually line up. And I like to look down the sides to do that. Okay, see, even that one is off just a hair, and I don't understand that. But I mean, I can live with it for the purposes of demonstration. I don't know, let's see what happens when I'm standing on it. See, that's much more centered now to the one I'm on. Yeah, okay, well, maybe that's a thing that I wasn't aware of until this moment. But yeah, those are perfect. Okay, so now I know these are straight. And these are attached to each other, not the wooden pieces underneath, by the way. So when we're ready to drop this coaster, all we gotta do is smack that one piece of wood and it'll drop the entire vehicle. Okay, so these are centered now on the wood pieces. I'll try to show you guys that. I don't think I'm going to be able to. Fiddlesticks. But anyway, yeah, this is totally centered, so it's also centered to the track above it. And I mentioned I'd be, you know, referencing my other vehicle, guys, just because it's been a hot minute here. I'm going to pull that in a little closer and hopefully not push the wrong button and actually crash into what I just did. Okay. I'm going to play it safe, not sorry. That's close enough. Ah. And for your lighting pleasure, let's go ahead and drop some fire. And hopefully I won't be running into these all day, as per the usual. Alright, perfect. So I want to get the spacing right on this. And I think those are centered on dynamic, and they are. Now guys, I know for a fact these are free builds, so these are wall pieces, and I like to use the wooden You can go, different materials. Just be careful with stone. I found when I started putting a bunch of stone builds on these things, I was just wrecking the builds. A lot of damage markers, especially the wheel and tire assemblies. So I would recommend sticking to wood builds the entire time if you can. Okay, so again, we're going to center this now. Can't remember how many counts. I think that's it. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, nice and centered. And I just like to count pegs to make sure. So that's kind of why it takes me a minute here to tink. I'm tinking. Okay, so same build, folks. Down here you'll see a half wall. Go ahead and stick, and I do redundancy because sometimes, something just random will happen. The game hiccups, you just never know. And then all of a sudden, you have a broken build. Well, if you only have one, I call that a single point of failure. So I like to have that redundancy. That's why I have two. That way, if something happens to one or the other, there's something backing it up. Okay, that thing looks like it's a very different color now. I don't know if I selected the wrong one. I did. Yeah, it's just for aesthetics. Who cares? Okay, so the one I actually meant to scoop up was this guy right down here. Umber half wall. Okay, but since I boobied and I didn't do the umber half wall, I'll just press. Okay, so from here, this is where it starts looking like a nightmare. Alright guys, again, free builds. We're going right to floor pieces, and I really like these sugi, whatever they're called. I honestly have no idea. Alexa did not help me at all in my quest to learn how to pronounce this word properly. But the S-U-G-I, short for sugar. So I call it the sugi. So you're going to place two sugi builds. And yeah, these are actually going to be centered, dead center on those two wall pieces, and the other one's going to go on the inside, going toward the track. So go ahead and duplicate that on both sides. It's kind of hard to see from the side angle if that's centered. Yeah, I'm good. So just go ahead and snap that like so. Then I do believe we need... Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Wow, it really has been a hot minute. Okay, I think I move over to the shorter. I think that's the next smaller. Okay, and again we're going to go center. Just like that, and only one peg there. And again, guys, this creates redundancy, so if something happens to one of those two floor builds that that thing is resting on that I just placed, there's something there still holding it up. Oh, I really can't see my spacing on this one. Oopsie. Sweet. Okay, next one is pretty easy, just these little teeny tiny ones. And we're just going to kind of line that up. Actually, wait a minute. Nope, 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 stand by. Okay, then we're going to go right to these little pieces, and we're going to line that up flush on the inside. And there's a reason for that. That's going to support a tire structure. So go ahead and do that on both sides. Okay, so that's what we should be working with right there. Something still is off. Hold up. No, we're good. That's exactly what we want. Okay, so far so good. The other side is kind of tough to get to. And I'm going to actually go back over there and look because I want to make sure I can count these out right. I'm pretty sure it's... three and then one in. Okay, so same teeny tiny piece here on the other side. We're gonna once again center, only we're gonna go only in one peg, so pow. We're gonna do that 3 times. And I'm gonna try not to fall off the vehicle. And then for this one, we're gonna go in one peg. Pow. Just like that. Okay. 3 blind mice. And then the pinky toe. Okay, so now all that should be nice and lined up. So now from there, you might be wondering why there's a beam going all the way across on that other one, and I'll get to that here in just a moment. That's what I call a block and brace build, but I'll kind of put that on last. For right now, I just want to make sure I don't confuse anyone with, you know, what we've actually got built for the actual wheel assembly. Okay, from here, guys, this is probably going to be the toughest build to place. This one is a bit of Nightmare City. I'll try to walk you through it as best as I can. So basically these 2 little builds that are sticking out the back end here, those are down 2 full flat pieces, and then that's the 3rd flat piece down, and that's super important to get right. And then from there we back it out 3 pegs, so it's only sticking in toward the track 1 peg. Again, guys, this thing is not fun to place. So I'm going to show you how I do it, but you know, I've done it a few times, so I might make it look easy. So sorry in advance if it is not that easy. Okay, so again, you know, we're gonna go down 3 full. Okay, so there's the 2 spacer beams. So now what I'm gonna do is flip that. I'm gonna go underneath so I know I have it spaced right, but I don't know where I'm at from this angle, so I like to back it out until it greens. So now I know where I'm at. So then I'll go back over to where I want to be, and I'll push it in the 2. So now it's flush, and then 1 more peg in. So now that should be sticking out 3 pegs, and I can't quite get my view around there for you. So yeah, it's sticking out to my right 3 pegs, but it's sticking in toward the left only by that 1 peg on either side of that wall piece. So now, of course, I can bust out those other builds. I just kind of put those there to show you how I space things. But from here, it's a little bit easier to place the next one. You can just kind of snap to that first one you did, and then you know, just nudge over until it greens. Wish me luck on figuring out how to get to that piece so I can bust it without wrecking anything. And sometimes your cursor is right where you want it, but somehow your pickaxe finds another build. Not a great day. Okay, golden. So I'm just going to try to count this one instead of building the dummy builds. Okay, and I'll check my work before I move forward. Okay, so we've got everything matching on both sides as of right now. Alright, almost there, guys. Now comes the fun stuff. Tires, you know, thrusters. But before I get into all that, I'm going to do a one-over and make sure I'm not missing anything obvious. Actually, I kind of am. I need a couple of more builds here that I don't quite have placed yet. Actually, we might be better off going up on high ground for this. Okay, so little pieces. Actually, no, that's not going to help me. I honestly can't remember what size piece I placed there. Okay, I think that's another just straight up long piece, actually. So yeah, it looks like I've got another one of these centered, but butted up to that other one. And again, this is another redundancy. I just couldn't for the life of me figure out what the spacing was on it. I had to go look at it. So yeah, make sure it's, you know, centered with those, and then butted right up to the 3 blind mice. Just like that. There we go. Okay, now we're in business. Now I've got everything where I need it. Okay, and we're actually not even done with floor pieces yet. Once we get the tires on, and unfortunately we got to put the tires on first. But getting back to redundancy, there needs to be another piece of wood under this one. But again, it doesn't always let the tires place there. Uh-oh, what is happening? Did I boo-boo? Yeah, I did something wrong here. That was not the right piece for that job. But neither is this one. I need to figure out what I did here. Yeah, I'm missing something obvious here. Unless maybe I built the dynamics off. That might be what it is. I didn't center the dynamics on that piece of wood. I'm off a peg down there. Okay, so this is actually okay. This will still fly. Once we get the tires on there, it kind of self-corrects when I drop it. But this is not ideal, guys. You know, I should have caught this very early on. My dynamics are not centered with the track, therefore my wheel assemblies and stuff are not centered with the track, and that's a problem. Wow, I can't believe I did that. Yep. Well, no, it is centered. Okay, I don't know. I'm going to need a minute here, guys. I'm going to kind of sign off from speaking for a moment. Okay, so I've identified the problem. I actually built the arms flush with the builds over there. Total brain fart. I normally leave a 1 peg space there in case I want to put railing around it, you know, and make it more like a people mover type of system. So yeah, there's no railing, and that kind of made me brain fart there. So I need to go back over there, break both those arms down, and start over. So I think I'm just going to have to like redo that entire part of the tutorial here. But at least I'll be able to build it faster. Positives. Gotta think positive. I'm taking a huge risk up here on this freaking rail. I mean, it's built up, so if I break a rail piece out, it's not a big deal, I guess. But it does make me feel a little squeamish. Make sure I know what I'm pickaxing here. Woohoo! Alright, so once we got all our scaffolding down and all that fun stuff is done, and you're making sure that those are absolutely centered underneath the wooden pieces down below, and mine are, it's perfect. We need to build the arms for the tire assemblies, and guys, I like redundancy. And another thing on that note is make sure you're using wood builds. I notice if I use concrete, it tends to make the structure a bit too massive, and it causes a lot of damage. It kind of wrecks the wooden builds, or even if you have concrete builds up there around the tire assemblies, it just seems to be too much for the vehicle. Not to say you can't get away with 1 or 2 stone builds on there, but overall I would definitely recommend sticking to wood builds. Okay folks, so again, redundancy in case one build breaks. There's another one there backing it up. Make sure those are centered and in 1 peg in case you want rails. And I just noticed I made a boo-boo here, so I need to break those back down. And make sure I have a 1 peg space there. Again, that'll allow for some railing here if you want to make it more of a people mover. So you can, do something like that if you so desire, so on and so forth. Okay guys, continuing with the theme of free wood builds, I like to use another one, that same color. All the way down here we've got the half wall. And again, redundancy, so go ahead and snap those accordingly. And I'm going to go ahead and now move to some floor pieces. And guys, I like the sugi. Not quite sure how to say that properly. So you're going to center that, pow, and then you're going to go in, snap another one, just like that. So this one will be flush but centered. Snap another one just like that. So I'm going to make sure those are actually centered. Oh, we're golden. Okay, from here we're going to move down 1. And again, center, and in 1 peg. Just like that. Do that on both sides. Oh wow, I really can't tell if I'm center there. One thing I do not like about Lego Fortnite is the character gets right in the way of, the things you need to see in order to place a freaking build. One thing I like about No Man's Sky is you can, bounce between first and third person when you're in build mode, or really in any mode, but it's super helpful in build mode. Okay, let's get back to our Sugi. Now I can see what I'm doing. Alright. So that's what we need on both sides. Now we're going to move to the other side over here. And guys, we're going to go back to the long one. We're going to start with that. And I like to snap it to this other one. And it makes it real easy. You can just kind of nudge it. But we're going to go out, and then we're going to come back in 3. So 1, 2, 3. This way it's not flush. There's just a little piece sticking out over there. We're going to do that on both sides. And I need to be able to see what I'm doing here. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay, while you're still standing here, go ahead and get that teeny tiny one out, that little 6x2. And we're going to come right next to this other one. And if I can get my character to cooperate, go ahead and snap that right next to that other one. And then guys, we're going to come down 2 more. So there's 3 tiny ones there all together. And then for the 4th one, we're going to come in just 1 peg. So now you should have 3 and then 1. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and then 1. Alright, from here, get back up top side. Oh yeah, forgot I built some floor there. I was like, what is blocking me? Okay guys, tiny pieces again. Come back up to the top here. We're going to go ahead and make these flush with that other floor piece. So we've got those 2 kind of next to each other there. We want this one flush with that one, but butt it up to that. So dun 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 dun. So that's what that should look like from the top view. Exact same thing on the other side. And the reason is because we're going to stick tires up against these builds. Okay, perfect. I want to go back over here, make sure I'm not missing anything this time, or make sure I'm not off center or anything crazy like that. Oh wait, we're not done yet. Yeah, I got the 2 sidebars. But yeah, besides that, we're done. Alright guys, these are tough to place. I am not going to lie, these are tough to place. So I'm actually going to try to do this with a view where you can actually see what is going on here. So again, those tiny pieces, we're still on tiny piece day here. So what we're going to do here is, you can do this a number of ways, but basically what we need to do is we need to get these to where it's starting out. Hold on, I'm trying to get my peg on the actual wall piece, not underneath the floor pieces. Okay, so right there, we need to get this thing down, and you might want to actually, you know, merge builds just so you can kind of count them out. But this would be, you know, flush if it was right underneath those floor pieces above it. So what we need is we need 2 complete floor spaces worth of a gap going down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6. That's actually where we're going to want to place the build. And we're going to have to place this build right next to the wall piece. So nudge that over there until it greens for you. And then we're going to come back 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and do that on both sides of the wall pieces. And if you want to check your work, you can just, you know, maybe place a couple of dummy builds here to make sure and see. I can already see I'm off. I counted wrong. Hold on. I'm having a moment today. I'm having a lot of moments today. Okay, so yeah, I was not at a good angle there to see what I was doing. Okay, so it looks like that would be flush. We need to come down 1, 2, 3, 4. And that leaves, essentially it leaves 2 complete floors worth of a space between the top of this build and the floor builds above it. But now we don't want to place that there just yet. We need to actually count some pegs here. So that's flush now with my wall builds. So now I actually need to come back 1, 2, 3, and then we can place that on either side. And I know the view isn't great, guys. I apologize for that. I tried it a couple of different ways there, and there's just no great way to see it. You just have to try to visualize that. But you can see there, I could squeeze 2 more floor pieces in there above those that I just placed if I wanted. And then that would make it, you know, touching the floor pieces above it. And then we've got the 3 pegs coming back and 1 peg going in toward the track. And that's important because that's where our tire assembly goes. So go ahead and do that on both sides. And if you get one place, you can actually speed that up a little bit, snap it to the other one, and then just nudge it over till it greens. Alright, go ahead and check your work, make sure everything is lined up. Now I should be able to stand on the track and everything should be perfectly centered. Guys, if it's not, that means there's a boo-boo somewhere, you know, there's, you know, like what I did before, I might have missed, you know, the spacing there. So yeah, make sure you've got, this part is super important right now. Alright guys, we actually have to place 1 more floor piece, and that's going to be the teeny tiny one again, and that's actually going to go right under here, but we're not ready for this just yet. If you place this piece now, the tires won't... Oh, why won't let me green? There it goes, I was too close. So yeah, the tires won't actually place where we need them. So unfortunately this kind of has to go in after the tire assembly is finished up. But guys, getting back to redundancy, we want that other piece to go in there, so I'm going to try not to forget that very important step. Okay, and I don't know what it is about this game, but there seem to be several attach points for tires. So make mental note of the way I've got these tires spaced down here. That little white part of, you know, the tire coupling or whatever that is, just barely sticks up. You cannot see a hollowed part on the inside. And that's important. It's going to matter when we put the underneath wheels on. So I'm going to go over there and try to do this as best as I can. But guys, this is a challenge and I'm not starting out too great. Completely fell right off the assembly. Alright, so I usually like to stand right about here when I'm placing these, and again, it's just because there seem to be multiple attach points for these stupid tires. So the only way to really know is, you know, put it in, put one down, and look at it. Okay, and see that's up too high. You can see some hollowed part on that inner thing. See, this is what I mean. I don't understand this. It should be the same, and it never seems to be the same. So I'm going to place another one on the other side and use that one as a guide to see if I can find a sweet spot there where the tire is going to be where I need it. Okay, so it looks like it's lined up with this other one right now. I don't want that. I need to find a spot where it comes up just a hair. Or down just a hair, my bad. I still think that's perfectly lined up. I can't really tell though. And maybe it has something to do with the character standing. I really don't know. All I know is this is super frustrating. Maybe if I stand on the track. Uh-oh, yeah, I think the track got it. See how that's just slightly lower now from that other tire. I don't understand, guys. But again, that's my spacing, so that's important. So make sure you get this part right. And now when you look at the back, you can see the difference between the 2 tires and what I'm talking about. So Lego Fortnite, if you're watching, I absolutely love you guys. The game's awesome. I don't know if you can take a look at that. That would be freaking awesome. Ooh, I almost missed that jump completely. Okay, so I guess I need to be standing on the track in order to get that placed properly. And this should be relatively easy right now. Well, shoot. I need to find a sweet spot there. Okay, now it looks like these are not lined up again. Doggone it. Yeah, see, these are off. What is happening? Okay, I think I got it now. So basically, I let that red out, and then as soon as it greens, I place the tire, and you can see now they're kind of, sort of, almost touching that, but it doesn't affect the build. It doesn't affect, affect the tire's ability to spin. So that's exactly where we want those placed. If you look straight down, those should be perfect dead center above the track right now. Booyah. Oh man, look at that. That didn't place right. They've got to line up, guys. They've got to line up. Let's try this again. Wow. I don't know what the dealio is here, yo. But I'm going to be going to farm Flexwood here in a minute if this keeps happening. No, it's not right. It's higher. Whoa, I had it, I had it. The magic pixel. Where you at? Where you at? Right there. Maybe I'm like, maybe the cursor is in the crack. Maybe it doesn't matter where you're standing. Maybe your whatever that is, crosshairs, whatever people want to call that. I call it a cursor. But maybe that has to be in the crack of those two floor builds there, because wow, it is like literally one magic pixel. That thing just lit up for me. Okay, so now I should be able to validate that is placed properly, and it is. Okay, wow, that was a lot more labor intensive than it ever should have been. Okay, so I guess I need to get that in the crack. And then again, I'm gonna go over, whoops, until it greens for me. Pow! Come back in until it greens for me. Pow! Just like that. Perfect! Alright, so the secret is the crack. It's all about the crack. Alright folks, once we have those tire assemblies on, getting back to that super important build, the floor build, we had to wait until this moment to place. And this is going to be a little bit tricky. So what I like to do is just kind of attach it there. Or wait a minute, maybe you had to place the floor build first? Oh man. Hold up. I remember placing the floor build after the fact. Oh wow, it won't let me drop it, so... my day, my day. Maybe I should just, like, shut the stream off at this point and start completely over. How long has this nightmare been going on for? Fucking, I just lost the stream. No, I didn't. Okay. I thought I just crossed the streams there, but looks like we're still running. Wow, it's been going on an hour, and I'm just now learning how to do this again. Apologies, folks. Alright guys, so I take back what I said about placing the wheels first. Either an update changed this, or I have it, just completely in my head wrong. So since I cannot place that floor build where it needs to go, I'm going to try doing it now and then placing the tires. So now that should completely fill in, and I'll try to give you a better view of that. So that now that should completely fill in everything, and guys, there's several points of failure now, where things can afford to take a little damage here and it's not going to completely fall apart. And we're still not done doing that. There's that block and brace piece I mentioned earlier. But now let's see if I can get these tire builds placed. Okay, and again, get that cursor right in the crack. That one magic pixel. I think I just found it. Boy, is it hard to tell. Nope. Ugh. But hey, I'm placing the tire where it needs to go, so that settled that little issue. It's definitely got to be in with the rest of the floor, because you cannot place that after the tires. Magic pixel. There it is. Okay. That's up too high. Okay, right in the crack. Right in the crack! There it is. Alright, again, way more labor intensive than it needs to be. Let's see if I can actually do this from standing here. Maybe I can visualize better. Yep, there it is. Okay, so that might be a better place to stand, so you can actually see that little bit of a adjustment there that it makes. There it is, guys. Okay, so looking straight down, these should be dead center with track now. Perfect. Look at the butts, make sure there's no hollowed space behind those deals, then they all are exactly the same. Perfect. Alright guys, we're getting close. It's tiny wheel time. Tiny wheels. And these are super important to place. So now again, I'm going to reference my other build to make sure I get this right the first time. Hopefully this time I actually get it right the first time. And I already know where those two go. It's the other two I'm not 100% familiar with off the top of my head. I think they line up. Yes, they do. Okay, so you're going to want to be standing on the vehicle for this part. And I'm going to put my pickaxe away because that makes me nervous. So guys, those funny little floor pieces we had to build that were super challenging, this is where that comes into play now. So what we're going to do is we're going to center this. So look at those, those guide grid marks, whatever they call those grid lines. So make sure that you're centered on the build. Go all the way in, and in one peg so it greens for you. We're going to do that on both sides. Pow, just like that. Okay, now on the other side, we're going to line all that up. So we're going to come over here now, and we're going to line up tire to tire. So I'm actually going to start with this one. Come all the way in, pow. Come all the way back, pow. So now looking straight up at that, everything should look nice and purty. And now you can already kind of visualize how that's going to grip the track for us. Okay guys, make sure you do that on both sides here. Okay, take a quick look, make sure everything's nice and pretty, and it is. Booyah. Alright guys, we're about ready to drop coaster here. We've got everything knocked out. Oh, block and brace before we drop. Block and brace. So that's that funny beam now that you know, doesn't really look like it needs to be there, but it kind of sort of does. Reason being is just in case, you know, something just crazy happens, like you forget to brake something, you know, and you start, you know, having fun with your coaster and you crash into something, or just anything can happen. You know, game can spasm. I don't know. I've never actually had it happen. It's usually because I did something stupid, you know, like I forgot to break builds out of the way or something. But anyway, long story short, if anything happens to one of these two assembly arms, i.e., say the foundation underneath this one breaks out, well, the whole assembly is going to fall off, and that's just a bad day. So what I do is I block and I brace that. This way, if one thing happens to one side or the other, there is something there connecting the two pieces up here, holding the entire assembly together. This way you can just, you know, slap another foundation piece in there, whatever broke, you can just put another one right on in there and continue on mission. So I will do that. And honestly, it probably really doesn't matter too much where it goes, as long as the two pieces are connected. So let's try it here. I don't know if I can make it fit here. Oh, I can. Okay. Actually, that might not be ideal. You need clearance between the tracks. Because remember, when you start banking and stuff, yeah, see, I put that other one out farther away from the tires. You got to think about banking, especially in elevation. That can start clipping builds, and that'll, you know, break the build. So yeah, let's go out here, I guess. I'm not quite sure now how to... I don't know if I can fit something in there. Oh yeah, check that out. Okay. So there it is, guys. Everything has plenty of clearance. And we are golden. Alright folks, moment of truth. This is where we drop track. So as long as everything's centered, you're safe to go. But before you do, you just might want to, you know, check all your tires one last time, because once you drop it, and now there is a way to fix it. If you've already got stations built, you just simply drive it over onto some ramp tires. It actually lifts the assembly up and off the track. So then you can kind of repair tires, do what you have to do. But if you're just now building the monorail, you probably don't have stations built yet. So I would highly recommend, again, just kind of give it a once over, make sure everything is lined up. And, you know, especially the tire spacing, that's the most important. Okay, so now in order to drop the vehicle, all we have to do is break out this one wood build, and all three will disintegrate, and the vehicle will fall and should now be completely free hanging. Boom, baby. Alright guys, next step is the underneath tires, and these are absolutely critical. It secures the vehicle to the monorail, and it gives it less of a reason to jump track. In other words, it holds it down. So holding it down is just as important as, you know, keeping it up. Now notice these tires are spaced. So, you know, this thing's on ramp tires right now. It's sticking up. Remember I said it lifts the upper tires up? And check out these bottom tires now. That's starting to connect. And that's what you want. That's why, you know, getting the spacing on these tires is so critical. So it looks like I've got these spaced the same way. So I need to find the crack of the floor piece once again. And we will go ahead and use the long pieces and line those up just like these are. And this needs to come down. This is always hard to space for me. But see on that wall build, there's like a line there, and that's like just kind of what I look for. I know that doesn't help. And I'm not quite sure how many spaces down that is. Looks like 2 full. Yeah, it comes down 2 full and then it goes under that. So if you guys need a guidepost for that, that's a good way to do it. But again, I just eyeball it based off that line I just pointed out. So I'll show you how I do it. Okay, we need the long shugi. And there's my line. And it's got to be centered, guys. Make sure you center that build. Wait, this doesn't look right. God, it's hard to see. Wait a minute. I'm going to go ahead and put those guides down because I don't want to mess this up and I can't tell if it's even centered. Okay, so this needs to go just like that. Again, this has to be centered. Why doesn't that look centered? Maybe you can't count the pegs under there because, yeah, something's off. Oh yeah, the pegs aren't centered either. Okay, I was looking at those bottom pegs and I was counting those. Yeah, you can't do it that way. Okay, so really getting one place is kind of the hard part. Once the one is placed, you can just, you know, snap and nudge. So I'm going to do the snap and nudge. Okay, once again, should be centered. Perfect. Alright, guys. Last step. And then we're moving on to thrusters. Okay, so once again, try to find the crack. Crack is super important. The crack is everything. Or maybe you don't have to find the crack this time. Maybe it just does it. Yeah, because that looks pretty freaking squared away to me. And again, we're going to want to line that up. So we're going to let it red out, come back in 2 nudges. And that should be right where you want it on both sides. So maybe you only have to find the crack if there's more than one floor piece. Again, super frustrating. Yep, those placed perfect. We're golden. Alright folks, now that we know we got that, all we have to do is line it up and boom, baby. Okay, that's it. The vehicle is now secured to the track. It is now its own monorail vehicle. Roller coaster vehicle, whatever we want to call this thing. Carriage. And honestly, I like things to look nice aesthetically, and this kind of bothers me a little bit. I'm going to see if I can block and brace this in a little bit of a different spot, maybe like right here. I like it being up a little bit higher too. Uh-oh. Kind of hard to know what floor pieces I can use here. Yeah, it's better. Sweet. Okay, blocked, braced, rock and roll. Alright guys, it's on to thrusters. And if you want chests, you know, you can put chairs down here. Like I said, you can use railing systems. You can just go absolutely bonkers with this thing. But again, I would highly, highly, highly recommend sticking to any and all things wood. Again, because, you know, once you start getting into concrete, things start, you know, it really adds a lot of mass to the vehicle and it can start wrecking builds. Oh yeah, don't forget to blow out any kind of guide pieces you put down. And we can actually get rid of our scaffolding now. But you know what, I'm going to leave it there just in case. Alright, so for thrusters. Now guys, you're going to want to get these right. A lot of times when you build and break in Lego Fortnite, you don't always get back what you put in. So this is why I didn't like experimenting with these in survival mode, because I was just constantly breaking and rebuilding things, especially thrusters, you know, tires, and again, you just don't always get back what you had, you know, what you needed to build it in the first place. So I was always running out refarming. It just got, you know, oh my god, the blast powder was a nightmare. So yeah, again, you want to kind of make sure you go by the numbers here and get the steps right with the thrusters especially. Alright guys, we're going to put Busters, Dave and Buster's. Am I allowed to say that? This is not a promotional video. Okay, I think we're good now. Large thrusters, guys, large thrusters. So torches, I probably don't have enough. I've been building a lot of balloons, and yeah, I had a ton of torches once upon a time. And they are all gone, so you're going to need lots of torches. And I thought ahead, and I went out and I broke a bunch of stuff for vines. Okay, that should get me by. If not, I'm close enough. I'll just come back and craft more. Oh, that one hurt a little. Alright folks, so 5 thrusters on each side, and these are going to be centered. Now what I like to do is center that, you know, up, down, whatever, so it's right in the middle there. And then I'll go all the way out, whoops. I'll go all the way out, let it red, come back in 1, bam. 1, 2, 3, 4, bam. And I'll put one here too, but right now I just want to let it red out again on the other side. Bam, bam, bam. So that lines them all up nice and pretty like. Do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, perfect. And we're going to channel these, so you're going to need the wrench. Uh-oh, did I boo-boo? No, we're good. But we're not quite there yet. I'm going to finish placing thrusters, and then, guys, it gets a little tricky here, but the 5 thrusters alone really don't push the carriage, especially if you start putting a bunch of builds on there. And these chests seem to add a good amount of mass, which is why my chest builds usually will not have anything else added. No fancy railing, absolutely no decorations. Not to say you can't do that, but again, the more you put on there, just it increases breakage risk. Okay, next sets of thrusters are going to go, and you can see how the blast powder and stuff can really get chewed up, especially if you're breaking a bunch of the stuff. I'm already down to 10. I don't even know if I'm going to have enough to finish this build. Matter of fact, I need to go back and see if we have any more blast powder. This might be a problem. That was a lot of work just to find out there was no blast powder in there. Well, I'll do the best I can, I suppose. I'll at least be able to get them on there going one direction like it should be, and I'll probably be shy trying to, you know, get them on for the other side. I'll go out and I'll farm blast powder later and square that away. But for the purposes of the video, I can at least show you where everything goes. I can only place 5 more thrusters, though. So I'm only going to do that on one side. Okay, we want this centered with the wall piece. So make sure that is dead center there, and then we're going to go up as far as it'll go. Bam. We're going to do that on both sides. And then that's still not enough. You'll see up top side we've got even more thruster assemblies. Oh, no, wait, I didn't put them on this side, did I? Actually, we might be good, folks. That's right. I was able to reduce thrusters just a little bit. If you do want more oomph, though, you can, you know, find some sweet spots to put more thrusters up here. You know, case in point, you can put them out here if you need to. They can go on the other side even. That really only becomes an issue, like I said, if you start building a bunch of stuff on here, you'll need that extra push. So yeah, you'll be able to find some greens here, you know, for example. I usually find one here somewhere. Ooh, maybe not. Huh, okay. Huh. Yeah, wow. So I guess not. And I just realized I didn't put the bumper tires on there just yet. Okay, well that makes it real easy. Then I just had enough blast powder to replicate the design I've already got built. So we're going to go around to the other side and do the exact same thing. Center it. Alright guys, and I mentioned channeling all these out, so you will absolutely need a wrench. And what I like to do is I like to have, wherever I'm going, you know, it doesn't really matter which direction you pick. In my mind, because we went and built up in the desert biome first, that was my automatic channel, which is my A channel for the Xbox. It's the default one. So when I push that default button, I know which way I'm going every time, no matter where I'm at on the monorail system. And then I push B to go back from that location. So I know A basically goes to the desert, and then I know B essentially goes to the freezing cold biome there. So that makes it real easy for channeling your thrusters. All you have to do is really just do the one side. And there it is. So now I know when I hit A, I'm going that direction with all my thrusters firing the proper way. I hit B, I go that direction, again with all the thrusters firing the proper way. Now guys, getting back to, you know, having had been attacked and having watched these floor builds break out, the vehicle is secure. The vehicle is blocked and braced. These builds can break and that's okay. Yeah, you'll have to rebuild thrusters and stuff, but it's doable. The vehicle is still solid. But the most important thing is going to be if you're using it for chests. Your chests have to be blocked and braced also. So you'll notice I didn't just place chest pieces here. There's something underneath that attached to these wall pieces. This way, if the wall pieces blow out, you know, they're still attached to the foundation. If the foundation blows out, they're still attached to one wall piece or the other. So it's just, again, another system I devised here to make sure there's a little bit of redundancy and no single points of failure. And yes, I will absolutely use concrete pieces because when you're, you know, chesting things on these vehicles, you do not want them to break. So I will go concrete builds all the way. And honestly, you guys, these castle floor pieces work just fine, and I know those are free builds. So again, those have to be butted right up to the wall piece here. Go ahead and put one on either side. And now you're safe to start dropping chests on this surface. In fact, if you want even more redundancy, you can build an actual floor on top of the foundation, you know? The dynamics, I mean. You can actually put flooring pieces down, fill it all in nice and pretty, but that's just another redundancy to help hold your chests up. Now, I didn't go that bonkers, you know? Me and my son were just fooling around. I wasn't being super serious in the playthrough. So I just kind of put these down and called it good enough. Yeah, essentially that's all I did. Then I went ahead and dropped my chests right on top of those. Just like so. Alright, you guys get the idea. I'm just going to go ahead and bust those. I don't really need them. What I'll do now is I'll go ahead and put down, you know, the chairs. You can use switches if you want. Just make sure you channel the switches accordingly. I'll demonstrate that for you guys. These use blast powder. I wonder if you get that back. Okay, so what I like to do, you know, just when I'm using switches, I kind of like to separate them a little bit. And then I'll channel... Whoops. Uh-oh. Ah! Dude. Okay, so in my mind, if I push this switch, I want to go that way. Well, that's the channel I channeled out. Whoops. Okay, so now this should be channel 2, and these should be channel 2. Just like that. And then I already know that one's set to default, so we're good to go. So yeah, if I push that, I'm going that way. If I push this one, I'm going that way. And then I would just mirror that on this side. So if I pushed this switch, you know, I'd go that way. And if I pushed this switch, I'd go that way. And of course, I'd have to channel this switch out this time to match up with these thrusters. Just one of my systems I've used. You know, you guys can feel free to do that however you'd like. And since pickaxes are starting to make me real nervous, I'm going to start using fists. Oh, I got the blast powder back. Awesome. But I like the chairs. The chairs, just to me, give it a little bit more of a fun feel. The thing about the switches, though, that is pretty cool is you can flip the switch and then you can move about the cabin while the vehicle's in motion. Of course, when you're sitting down in the chair, you're kind of sitting down in the chair already. So yeah, you can use any one of these, doesn't really matter. I kind of like this one because it makes me feel like I'm driving some kind of ride or something, you know, fun. And, yeah, just like so. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can really go wherever you want. I just like to center it with that thruster there. And we're golden, guys. Monorail built. We are in business. Let's go ahead and take it out for a test drive. To the desert! Forward! Whoop whoop! Look at it go! Goes up and down. It changes beautifully. As long as you have everything spaced properly, guys, this thing should just glide. It should just completely fly. You see there's no damage markers. It's not trying to derail. It's absolutely solid. Now, you might want to, you know, give my prior video, or stream I should say, a watch. That'll show you how to build the tracks. Now, guys, when I actually called this thing a roller coaster, I made the curves nice and tight. I made, you know, surface changes nice and tight. Very aggressive. Very aggressive elevation changes, very aggressive curving. But honestly, you know, the way they like to tinker with tire settings and rocket settings and thruster settings, you know, it seems like every update they like to play with those things. And honestly, I don't know if it's a marketing gimmick. You know, maybe they're doing it on purpose so that we have to come back in here and spend a few hours redoing things. You know, maybe that helps their selling power. I don't know what the reason is. But I've been playing this game a lot. And the updates seem to cycle these settings. And just to test that theory, in several different maps, I left several different designs built. And sure enough, after an update, when my user design started breaking, I'd go back to one of those prior designs and one of them would be working just fine. Then another update would happen and they'd change other settings and that wouldn't work anymore, but I'd go back through and look at all my different designs and one of those would be working. So it's almost like they have this continual rotating schedule of tinkering with tire, thruster, and balloon settings. Again, I don't understand the reason, but there's something going on here. And Lego Fortnite, if you're watching, again, I love you guys, but if you could take a look at that, maybe you're not doing it on purpose, maybe the game's doing it or something procedurally. I don't know. All I know is, people spend a lot of hours in here building these things, and it's absolutely heartbreaking when you log in one day after an update and the entire thing just will not work. Okay, off my soapbox about that. Guys, we are golden. We are in business. So yeah, go nuts. It's a lot of fun. Again, sometimes me and my son just log on for no other reason, just to drive the monorail. So folks, I genuinely hope that helps you all out. I hope you have a blast with your new vehicle system. If you enjoyed the video and you like the design, please take a moment to like, share, subscribe, and comment. That is always appreciated. And until the next time, best of luck and happy hunting. Or I should say, happy building. Booyah. Squeak! Oh, before I let y'all go, tee-hee-hee, I totally forgot about the bumper tires. Wow, and I just did my outro. Epic fails! Bumper tires, guys, these are super freaking important. Notice, they're up there on my other ones, and they're supposed to be, and that's, highly important, because they crash into each other, you don't want them breaking each other. Please excuse my mess while I renovate. Alright, so anyway, yeah, bumper tires, super important. On the front and back of the vehicle, you need the bumper tires. This protects the vehicles from one another, and you can also put bumpers down in your track, and that'll protect the vehicle from slamming into the end of your track, or station, or whatever the case may be. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to center these on that inner floor piece, and we're gonna nudge down until it reds. Whoops. And then come back up one until it greens, just like that. So essentially that's what we want it looking like on both sides. And then the inner one's going to be a little bit trickier to hit. You might have to be standing farther out. Yeah, I need to build some more scaffolding for those. And then again, centered on that one. That one's easier to center because there's only one now. And then down until it greens, just like that. So those two should be lined up with each other now, and then that lines them all up with your other monorail vehicles. Doggone it, the buttons don't go the way it's supposed to, so it's hard to know which way to go with the arrows sometimes. Okay, there we go. Now we can call the vehicle done. Alright guys, wow, hour and a half to build that. It should have only taken me 10 minutes. When I'm, really building these things, I commit them to memory and I can just go through and plow right through the build. It's no problem, but today, wow. It took a hot minute, for it to all kind of come back. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a lot of fun with these. They really are a lot of fun. Try building a super aggressive track. Build an actual proper roller coaster. Have fun with it. As long as the update lasts, it'll be fun. Just keep in mind, if you go too tight, and what works today may not always work tomorrow is all. So that's kind of why I've really taken it, easy on the aggressiveness of my tracks, especially in a survival setting where it's not just fun in games here. You actually need the vehicle to function. So yeah, you can see these real gradual curves. I lead into it super slow. I think I went 7 or 8 bricks on each surface change. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I actually went 8 here. So, later on, actually on last night's stream, I went 7 and it worked just fine. So, again, the tighter you make the curves, the more aggressive they get. It's more fun, but also the risk goes up, with an update breaking your builds. Alright, guys. I feel like I've rambled on a lot today. I think what I'll do before I get onto the next stream for the station is I'll refamiliarize myself with that just a little bit. There is a way to build it, from the track where you don't, break things, per se. Because it's okay to ground the track. It's just not okay to connect a pre-existing structure to the track that's already been grounded. So that's why it's okay to build the support arms. As long as you're branching off from the track and then you go down and you ground that, no problem. You're perfectly safe doing that. So I'm going to do that with the station building. The difference is once I get it grounded and I know where my station needs to be placed, then I'll detach it from the track and the station will be its complete and separate own build. And the reason I do that is because you always want to tinker with the station. You want to add a light, or you want to add a bench, or just something random. Well, if it's connected, adding that light or adding that bench can completely blow out all the tires all across the entire track. It's an absolute nightmare. Lego Fortnite, once again, if you're watching, please help us with that. There is no reason for those tires to be busting the way they do. And again, it's just... It breaks your heart. Literally breaks your heart when you watch that happen. So, I know it sounds like I'm complaining a lot, and I really hate that because the game is so beautiful, and I love playing it. I don't want these videos to sound like I'm complaining all the time. But wow, the game's been out a minute now, and these things keep happening, so... That's why I say just please, if you can help us out with this stuff, it would be awesome. It would just really help promote... A user-friendly game, gaming experience, but B, a more fun and less frustrating gaming experience. Alright guys, again, I've rambled on enough today. Thank you so much for watching. And just another friendly reminder, please like, share, all that fun stuff. Really help me out. Until the next time, peace.